Hello my dears, this is Sarah from SheHoldsDearly.com. Today I'm going to attempt to replace the foam in some old recliners. And we've been messing around on YouTube and we think we maybe can figure this out. So by we, I mean my husband and I. This is my husband Colby. He doesn't usually come on, but he is by far the brains behind all the construction stuff. So I pulled him in, roped him into this project. Oh, and before we start, I do want to tell you I am part of a collaboration today with a group of other YouTubers. We are all on a theme of get it done, okay? So that's home cleaning, home decorating, home organizing, any type of thing like that that has been on our list for a while, and for whatever reason we haven't gotten to it. I know you know what I mean. And the gal that is organizing it, her name is Nicole Northgarden. Her YouTube channel is all about decorating and thrifting and DIY. So I'm guessing you like those types of things because you're watching my videos. So feel free to check her out and follow along with all of her projects. And then as far as seeing what everyone else is doing, you can check out the link in my description, which shows our playlist, and you can just let them roll through and see what else was getting done. And I hope that inspires you to get something done that you've been putting off for a while too. We are going to attempt to revive these recliners that I inherited. I'm guessing they're like 20 years old at this point. And they are a nice size, and I made slipcovers for them, I think 4 years ago, and it was one of my first blog posts, probably 5 years ago. And even those are giving out, and so we're at this impasse. We're like, do we just trash these things or do we try to save them? And we figure, well, we don't have anything to lose. Let's just try to save them. And if it all fails, then we're back where we started. So the first thing that we need to do though is replace this upholstery foam, which is a little trickier than what I normally deal with when I am replacing foam for other chairs. And then once that is all nice, then I will move forward, and I'm planning to redo my slipcovers series for you just step by step. And so hopefully we can look forward to that. We do suggest having pictures, videos, drawing, whatever, so you remember the steps that you took. And I really like to do that whenever I'm doing upholstery, just to understand how to rebuild things.
One, two, 3, 4.
All right, this is what we're dealing with. Some of you are going to be able to actually take just the seat and focus on that. Ours was built a little differently. So we have the seat in the back, and now I just need to start removing staples. As you can see, even the fabric has seen better days, and that's why I made a slipcover. But I need to get this piece off here that is stapled to the frame, and that will let me pull this piece of foam out. I can't just pull it out because it's carefully stapled to this piece of wood right here. So I've got to do it the way you always want to backtrack exactly what the other person did when you're dealing with upholstery. If you don't have these tools, you can go ahead and use a screwdriver and like needle nose pliers to pull out staples, but I think after your first upholstery project, you will be in the same camp as me, after you got some blisters, that you will want to invest in the staple remover tool. This is about $10 on Amazon. And the other thing you're gonna want are a pair of gloves. These are actually kid golfing gloves just because I have small hands, but I do think golfing gloves are a good style to use if you're doing upholstery. All right, I'm about to ready to pull this back and really see what I'm dealing with this foam. Nasty! Now I can see that I'm gonna wanna replace this elastic here. So I've got some strips of that. I mean, anything, just use your common sense when you're doing upholstery, like anything that's broken. Or, I mean, you can kind of see the step-by-step process. I mean, look at this foam. It was just done. I don't think we normally think about upholstery foam, you know, having a lifespan, but it really does. At some point, you'll be sitting in your chair, you're sinking too low, or your legs keep hitting the wood frame, and that's when you know it's time to replace your foam. So also, from what I can tell, this was not cut, you know, professionally. It fell on the other side of the wood frames down on the side. This was not supposed to be like that. This is a deterioration over time, and the wood frame slid it and now has these little wings. So I am going to put one full piece in its place. This is the tricky part here down in front. So, and this is where I wish I knew a little more about upholstery. I do know some, and I took a class in interior design school, but you know, I don't do this full time, so I'm not totally sure. But it looks like they took some of this kind of felted fabric and they didn't actually staple the foam. They just attached some of this fabric and then they stapled the fabric onto the frame. So I need to think about what I'm going to do with that. All right, I can already see that I put the elastic in the wrong spot. It's going underneath the springs and it should be over the top of the springs. It was so deteriorated that I couldn't even tell, but I looked at the second chair and I think that's what's going on. So I have to switch that. I want to talk for a second about upholstery foam. So I just usually will get mine at Joann's and I'll wait for a sale because it's very expensive. The other place I like to get it is eBay. But if you do know an upholsterer, or you have an upholstery shop and you know that's local, that you feel comfortable going to asking about foam, I'm guessing they would actually probably give you a little lesson on which foams are best and why, and they would probably sell you pieces. So I got this at Joann's. This is my second set of foam that I bought for this project because my dog found it. And when dogs are trying to get comfortable in their beds, they dig to kind of fluff up things. And so we've had a couple of run-ins with our dog destroying hundreds of dollars of upholstery foam. I would measure before you go in try to figure out the thickness. I'm guessing 3 inches is pretty standard. I do need to cut this down a little bit and kind of shape it as it goes down over the front. That's always the hardest part. The best way to cut upholstery foam is to use a electric knife, which I do not have. I actually don't even have a serrated knife. I'm gonna have to call my neighbor and borrow a serrated knife, but that's the easiest way to cut through upholstery foam. All right, I'm gonna fix this elastic, I'm gonna shape the foam, and then we're gonna put it all back together. Now, this part is a little bit baffling to me. It looks like, I don't know if you can see it, it looks like they actually took the piece and then kind of like carved it out underneath and I have this really thin lip here and then this sort of like fabric tape that they stuck on it and then stapled that tape to the frame. But it looks like they just bent down this front section. I barely have enough to do that. So I'm just gonna do my best with that. And if you are more familiar with upholstery, leave me comments in the comment section and I would love to learn a little more about how they do the front of this. So this is my attempt. I just kind of drew an edge and I cut out a chunk with that knife all the way down. Probably could cut out a little bit more to make it more even, because I'm a little bit like, I got more out here. I'm gonna shave off that section. Okay, so now comes the part where we are actually adding the foam, which is the point of this whole video. So I am going to push the foam down in as far as I can and then make sure that I do have enough in the front to just wrap it around the wood part in the very front where your legs hang over. So once I got that situated and I got it centered on there, that's when I brought in good old duct tape and I used 3 strips here. This is what I thought would work instead of whatever type of cool fabric that the upholsterer had used, and it did work. You just needed to hold long enough to get it stapled in place and the fabric pulled over the top of it, and that did work. So I stapled the tape onto the wooden frame. I pulled my fabric back over and stapled it back in place the way I had just removed the staples. And now, I mean, it's already looking so much better. Now we're gonna put it back into the base with the arms and the footrest. As I was working, which normally happens when I'm doing a project, I was like, oh gosh, I really should like get new fabric and replace the seat of this thing. I should replace the back foam because like you kind of like sink in the back when you sit down in it. But I don't love these chairs that much. I just want to get a few more years out of them. I want to fix up the slip covers, maybe like 5 more years, and then these guys are out of here. And I do like to use lumbar pillows with these, so I just figured I'm just gonna use lumbar pillows and then that will make up for the insufficiency of the foam in the lower back area. So I think it's gonna be okay. So let's go ahead and get this chair put back together. We are now going to add it back into the base of the chair with the arms, and then I get to sit in it and tell you how it is.
When you're putting the chair back together, when you put the fasteners back, you'll oftentimes be able to see kind of like the scar of where the fastener was before. You need to put it back into that position.
Yeah, it feels way better. All right, before you leave, be sure to grab the link in the description that will take you to a decorating quiz. It's called What Kind of DIY Decorator Are You? And you get to answer 5 questions and then hear about where you kind of fall on the spectrum of DIY decorating and things that you are doing well and things that you could get more support in. So hopefully you'll enjoy that. I love taking quizzes like that. And if you're new here, please consider hitting that subscribe button. I do post regularly and I share my DIY design advice and our vintage farm life. All right, take care and I will talk to you soon.